Vas-y.
Allô.
Tu me dis quand on est bon. Messieurs, mesdames de l'Internet, bonjour à toutes et à tous. I will begin in French, then we will go in English. Bonjour à tous. Si vous habitez à Paris, alors je sais, on vous a dit il y a des gilets jaunes qui sont un petit peu partout, mais vous inquiétez pas, dans les alentours de Bastille, il n'y a que la station de Bastille qui est fermée. Mais si vous prenez la ligne 5 et que vous venez à Breguet-Sabin ou sur la ligne 9 via Voltaire, vous pouvez nous rejoindre. Et ici, tout est calme. On vous le promet. Donc venez nous rejoindre. On va passer une après-midi en bonne compagnie puisque nous sommes avec Jürgen Michaelis de Jomox. Et à partir de maintenant, eh bien, nous allons parler en anglais parce que je ne parle pas allemand et que Jürgen est allemand. So, thank you very much to being here. Actually, it's the second time you came for us. The last time was maybe five years ago? Yeah. Five years ago. So I'm glad you are here today because you released your gem, your last gem, which is Alpha Base. And we will spend the afternoon to discover this by details and also by talk because there is a lot to say about that. So first of all, maybe I think it's always good to make some introduction to say when all of this began. And so I think it was in 1987, right?
No, not exactly. Je suis Jürgen. That's all French I can say. Sorry. Hello. Yeah, I started Jomox in 1996 when I was making the X-Bass 09, which was the first drum product. And the final company was founded in 1997. So there we are. And yeah, at the first place, I started to make an analog drum machine based on the 909 hype. At the time, it was techno, it was Berlin club times, you know, and many people came to, or some scene people came to me modifying their 909s.
Okay, go
Yeah?
on, go on.
Okay, I think there's a feedback.
No,
it's fine. Okay,
it's
okay.
okay.
And I learned a lot about the 909 sound production and made some modifications and improvements and detail.
You say 909 sound protection?
The 909, the TR-909, the Roland TR-909 is the cult instrument of the techno scene.
Yeah.
Has been always, of course, everybody knows. And some people of the Berlin club scene or techno scene in the mid-90s, they came to me and I did some modifications for them.
Oh, modification.
Modification.
Okay.
Like Moritz von Oswald, Mark Ernestos, Basic Channel, if somebody knows them. You know, those guys, they came to me and I made some some research on the sound production because there was some points to improve, you know, about the 909 kick, the famous 909 kick, but there is a lot of more range, you know. And after having all those experiences, I thought, okay, let's do an own instruments, and that was the kickoff for Jomox. You know.
Okay. So you on the market, you are not so much to make drum machine today. So I think, and as you said, 909 and 808 was everywhere, and it's very difficult today. I remember in the 90s because I live in the 90s too. So I remember that time where a lot of companies tried some stuff, but everybody was into 909, 808. So how it is to be to try to do something new about that? How did you want to improve?
Like I said, I was right at the people who were doing the music and getting into the technical stuff, you know, and then making out of the experiences, making something new. That was the X-Bass 09, which made the sound production, the analog sound production, digitally controllable. But my approach was to have this analog sound, because in the mid-90s everybody wanted to do stuff digitally, and people were already realizing that the real sound is not the digital one. It can do great things, but after all, the punch, the feel, the intense of analog sound was unprecedented at the time by today, and so my approach was to make the real thing, you know, not to make an emulation, but to make the real thing, and to expand the possibilities, to make improvements on sound productions and therefore on creativity. Because when I made my first breadboard circuitry for the X-Base 09, I made the pitch of and every other parameter of the kick drum controllable over the sequencer with a sequencer. And once I started turning the kick drum into a bass line, I was amazed myself. Wow, that's something new. That's just, you know, if you start the degree of complexity, a new thing happens and you find yourself in a state of, wow, what's that? It sounds great. It's a complete new instrument. But people at the time, and I myself considered the X-Base 09 to be a clone, but it wasn't. It was much more than a clone. Even because I expanded the sound circuitry so much, so you have more varieties in sound, and the spectrum of modulations was so deep already, and the controllability and the storability of sound, you know, other like the 909, which has only a few of analog knobs and nothing can be recalled, you know.
Okay.
That was the approach at the time.
Yeah, so, but you don't.
I'm still doing this stuff.
We will see that. But I mean, maybe we can start before that, because everybody can build a drum machine. You need to know electronics and you need to know how to write some codes at some points.
Of course.
So how did you learn that?
Okay. So we have to go back one step further. Yeah, I studied electrical engineering and was working in really, really redneckish companies, and I didn't like it at all. Being a musician myself all the time, and I had a hard time to put these things together. And finally, when I started as a technician in a music store, I could finally find the time, find the moment to combine electronics and music. And I was learning a lot about synthesizers, a lot about drum machines, but especially synthesizers. That was the early 90s, you know, when I started being a freelancer technician in a famous Berlin-based music store. And yeah, there I learned a lot. And then we became self-employed. We made our own shop. Extended musician support, still active. My old colleagues, my old friends, still doing the jobs. Made some MIDI interfaces for analog synthesizers. That was the basic start of Jomox.
Okay, and it's one thing to build stuff, to do some electrical stuff, but the code, because today it's something you need to work on that too. So how did you learn how to code? The software part.
Programming.
Yeah, programming. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I learned programming myself a lot.
Oh, yourself?
Since the 1980s, I did assembler programming. I had this in the university as well. You mean the programming stuff?
Yeah, because there is always, as soon as you have some digital stuff, you always have, and as soon as you have to deal with OS.
Sure.
So
sure.
You need to do that kind of stuff. So it was also your work. It was not the work from somebody else.
No, it's mine. It's mine. I did everything, you know, from hardware design, layouting, conceptual thing, and the programming of the OS. Yeah.
Okay. Great. So now we have seen the past, and we will do forward to come today, because we will talk about your old stuff later. But today this is new exciting stuff. So let's go with that. So Alpha Base is your last project, and is the vision of maybe the ultimate hybrid drum machine.
Yeah, I thought let's do the ultimate Jomox analog drum machine, because like you said, I'm not so much represented nowadays. Or did I understand you?
Not only you, but there is not so much drum machine in a boutique way. There is there is not a lot of new drum machine today.
Yeah, but I think it just came out 1 year ago. Okay. Yeah. I think there's quite a lot of stuff right now.
Yeah, but I think maybe this one is the closest to the real thing that to the 909, for example, but it go further.
Well, listen, I don't want to make a clone. It's not supposed to be
I don't say it is a clone, but I say it has a power of impact that people are seeking when they when I remember again in the 90s. I began to have some money to buy stuff, and I was dreaming about 909 and 808 machine, but at that time in the 90s. I didn't know your product, but at that time, every drum machine sounded like shit, and it was very difficult to find this oomph. I was here from all the record I loved. Yeah. So and today we can have because it's something to buy vintage gear, but at some points you need to ask yourself, okay, 909, 808, we know them, we have heard them in so much ways. So
30 years and it's boring.
Yeah, so maybe it's time to expand on that and to find new ideas, and which is very interesting with the alpha base. It's not only analog. There is also there is some wavetable things, and there is also some samples in it. Yeah. So I think it's the best. You have the best of all of the world. Right?
Yeah, and I think this is the top of the evolution, my personal evolution as well, because I put all the experiences from more than 20 years making drum machines and making bass drums and snare drum modules and percussion things and little freaky sampling engines. I think this is the final the tipping point, the peak of evolution today for myself, and I think it's become a quite really amazing, versatile instrument, which I myself have not.
Oh no, this is
okay.
C'est bon?
Which I still am exploring myself,
Yeah. So maybe we can begin to explain what it does, because so when you do analog and a digital drum machine, what you choose to become analog and what you choose to become digital?
It's very simple. There are 11 instruments on the alpha bass and the kick drum, and the M brain, so-called M brain, is pure analog. That means pure analog. Internally, the sound production and the boom and the synth engine is analog, but the control is digital. It's all internally CV controlled, and the CV bus is controlled by the processor. That's it. Then we have 6 instruments that are half sample, half filter, and half analog envelope. Then we have 2 pure digital instruments. That's the X sample slots, and then we have a digital gadget FM synth. That was because there's so much DSP power in the chip I used. I put a little FM synth in there, which is really nice. It's just a gadget. It's made for percussion sounds. It's not a huge FM synth, but it makes really nice sounds, and it fits very well into the rest of the sound spectra.
Yeah, and like this you can really choose what you want to work with. And so as you say, you have analog sound, but you have also the simplicity of storing some presets.
Yeah.
This is something very
maybe
useful
I should
today.
just start a bit. Okay. I don't hear anything.
We just need...
Okay. Let's start with the kick drum. These knobs serve as mutes. We have the kick drum. Okay. Maybe you should use headphones. For instance, this is an old finding that I had with the X-Bass 09 already. That's the harmonics. That makes the waveform more punchy, more like a bell. Then we have pulse attack and the noise section. And the noise itself can be metal noise or white noise. Then we can smooth it with an EQ section, which makes the kick drum again very soft with a descent click.
Yeah, so it's not a classic kick. You have a lot of parameters.
You have a huge variety. You have this typical 1990s kick drum style with a lot of pitch envelope, ooh, 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 which I personally don't like so much, but if you want to have this, okay, you can do that. Okay, then you have a software envelope, like in the 888. There's some scratching, but that's not me. It's from hard industrial to very weak and soft and precise and smooth. Like this. Depends on the music you make, depends on what your style is. I could also play this over the keyboard, over the sequencer, in sequence mode. Yeah.
It begins.
Instruments as well. Okay. What's that? I will explain the membrane in more detail very soon, but let's just do some.
So as we can already hear the pitch of the kick is controlled.
Yeah.
So
I just pulled this, I can turn off the sequence mode and then it's not sequenced anymore.
Okay, so you have one trig sequences and you have some modulation sequences.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. You can control with every instrument. You can control the pitch over the sequence with the sequence function and record one parameter. No, to make things easier, because in the old instruments you had a total record for everything, but it was hard to get those things in programming, and so I purposefully reduced it to just one parameter, because otherwise it gets so confusing.
Yeah, I understand. So now we can hear 3 sounds, right?
It's just 3 sounds now. Okay, this is the FM synth. this is only kick drum and membrane. Now let's go to the sample-based sounds. For instance, what's that? That's the... Okay. I can choose samples. Very far range. Can also use, for instance,
and
this is a electric piano sample, which we sampled ourselves.
And suddenly it became something else.
And you have an analog envelope on these. Okay, I turn off the other instrument so you can hear it much better. And you have the possibility to insert a filter into the signal change. And the filter is capable of resonance, has an own envelope as well. And then it turns into a synthesizer. Could also use... Oh, okay, let's keep this.
Oh yeah.
Put an LFO on the filter, for instance. Now I have syncable. Also a high pass filter. And the programming of the steps works like this, like in TR-909 style. Okay.
Yeah.
Do it all by the side, you know, in order not to...
So the workflow is quite easy. You choose first the instrument you want to
the
control.
Workflow is very easy. You just hit edit, and then select in the instrument. This is the kick drum. This is the membrane. This is the right track where I had this, you know, this house piano. I'm sorry, what's the crash channel? No, which one was it? Yeah. Okay, it's because I was in high pass mode.
It is difficult to play.
It's hard
by
from the side.
Yeah.
It's hard to see it from the side, you know.
But you know, it will be interesting if everybody can play like this on stage. You know, okay, this is what I do.
Okay, let's unmute some more instruments.
So it's more like a groove machine, actually.
Yeah, it's actually
it's not only
like
machine.
a workstation.
Yeah.
For instance, this synth sound here is just a waveform as a sample. What's that? Okay. You can also use this with a filter.
And you don't have to stop the sequencer to work
No,
on
no,
that.
no, no,
Only
no.
everything is real time.
Can do everything right on the fly. Now, with the new version, I have syncable LFOs. But also now the LFO stay in sync, you know. I put it in sequence mode. It's like a, you know, like a little modular system inside it.
Yeah. So the sound is not a gadget. It's not a bonus sound. It's a real sound, very good sound.
Yeah. Because you know the sample-based channels are not only digital; they are analog as well. This is analog filters. This is 4 synth-like filters and 2 hi-hat filters. That makes 6 analog channels extra.
Yeah.
For instance, you can also use these extra channels. This one here, I can turn off the sample as well.
Oh, you can make
and then it's
the filter.
And it's just a filter, you know. And then it's a pure analog instrument. Plus, I have the possibility to insert metal noise. Metal noise. And I use, for instance, high-pass filter. And it's a weird analog instrument. Hold on. And the analogs and the envelopes are analog too, so they have this punchiness, this pure analog punchiness.
Okay, so some question here because about you say that envelope is analog. Is there a real difference between analog envelope and a digital envelope today?
There is.
There is. Okay.
There is, yeah, because you know the analog envelope is purposefully not perfect. It makes some dirt, some wanted dirt. The digital envelope is always perfect, mathematically perfect, and therefore a bit of, you know, kind of boring. You know, so many plugins, so many virtual analog tools and plugins and synths make effort to emulate the analog dirtiness and the punch, which comes from offsets, which comes from saturation, from things that make the analog sound so alive, you know.
Okay.
Of course, they can be emulated and modulated a lot today because, you know, calculation power is huge, but still, you know, to have it in one machine and to have it, you know, right at your fingertips is a different thing, you know.
And I'm sure you tried both, and you see that analog is better.
I did, yeah.
Okay. So I have 2 questions here. We have seen that the workflow is very simple. You can first you choose the track you want to work, and then you have all the buttons there.
Yeah.
Can you, because there is MIDI, can you, if you have some controllers,
can control everything. There are hundreds of controllers. Each instrument has an own channel. It's very simple: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, blah blah blah, up to 11. And on each channel, you have a set of like 40 or 50 controllers that can control everything, you know, inside the machine. It's a whole synth engine. You know, you can use it with a DAW. Just don't use the internal sequencer, just fire everything via MIDI. That's possible too. And you have USB as well. It works very well. So you don't need to
have a MIDI
MIDI port. You just put the the USB port to the computer, and then you have
so
it as an own instrument.
That means that if you want to have if you like to build your sound in live, like Jeff Mills does with his 909, you can have a very big controller with a lot of buttons and does everything in live. So
you could also make a total recall from MIDI, but it's not necessary because you have the recall internally by going through presets. Yeah. For instance, this one now that I now tweaked, I can just just hit this button and now it's stored.
Yes, because this is not so common. You have distinct storage of the pattern and the presets.
Yeah.
So when you wrote something, you can try different presets to see if something else is better.
Right. Just step through some presets. So you get an idea of what is possible. It's huge. It's a complex synthesizer, and it has built-in effects as well. And now we go to the one that I just edited while we were talking. And I can easily mute instruments that are not needed.
Slowly build up songs,
Yeah.
And so there is individual outputs, like Sony totally sucks.
Every instrument has an own output. That means all the analog instruments, the X sample and the FM synth only are in the mixer.
Yeah. Okay. So so maybe do you have some question about this part of the instrument yet? No? Not yet? Okay.
Okay.
What can you do per step on a sequence? Can you change things? Can you on each step, can you change parameters?
I can change parameters, like I said, but only one per each step.
Okay.
And when I change a parameter other than the pitch, I have to re-change it on another point of the sequencer.
Okay.
Because it's like a controller. It's like if you're drawing a controller in your sequencer map. If you set one controller, you have to reset it at another point to make a change, because it's only changed then one time.
Okay.
You want me to see that, to make that? Okay.
Oh yeah, why not? Why not?
For instance, I can use the cutoff. I have two modes. Okay. Will you come back or? Okay. Okay.
Don't worry.
No. I'm not feeling alone. So I want to change, like, for instance, the cutoff. I turn off the LFO cutoff. So I have this firm cutoff now, and I want to change the cutoff of the whole sequence. I keep this pressed, this button, and turn the knob, and it says locked. I'm sorry. Need to have. It changes the cutoff.
And we see there is string, right? it's not a straight. There is a little bit of swing in go.
Yeah, there's a swing in there. I can change that swing if you don't like it.
No, I like it, but just to say that it exists, and this is why this pattern is so groovy. Yeah, so now it's more boring. Yeah. Okay, so how long pattern could be?
How long? They can be up to 64 steps.
64 steps.
Mhm.
Okay,
But they can have any other length as well. For instance, I can change the last step. It's on default. It's on 32. It makes 2 bars. You know, I can change it like an uneven thing, like 21 or so. So it rolls with the pattern. I'm sorry, I was in the wrong track.
Yeah, so you can explore some.
Yeah. No, it's 33.
And you can do that per track?
Per each track, yeah.
Right.
So it's polyrhythmic. Every track can have its own measure, have its own cycle, you know. Okay. It makes it very weird, you know.
But as you say, it's cool to have that, to experiment new ways of making music.
Yeah. For instance, it's very interesting to have the kick drum on a different measure. Oh no, not shuffle. Sorry, last step. So you get this, you know.
Yeah.
It's free jazz. Now the kick drum is making a 3. So once I'm out of the edit modes and I hit this button again, it's the old sequence. It's not stored.
Yeah, you can choose. You can
Okay.
choose to break your thing and get back to the real thing. Okay, so we have seen that there is this is all all outputs, but there is an input stage.
Yeah,
So
you can sample yourself, or you can insert some instruments for having, you know, reverb, but that's up to another OS update. That only works if you're doing internally some certain steps, but you can insert them. Yeah.
Okay. Can you, for example, if you want to use a filter of a track
That's kind of difficult. I've been asked that, and I've thought of that myself, but it makes, you know, the user interface is kind of limited, you know, and to make this really nicely work, it's hard to get it with the existing user interface. Basically, it would be possible, but there are some, you know, some hurdles about that.
Okay.
Yeah,
so right now it's for sampling.
Right now it's for sampling. You hit X record, and then you insert a signal, and then you can level it through this input channel, and then you go to the X sample slot, set a step, basically on step 1. And once the sequencer hits the step, it records what's coming in there.
Okay. And is it possible to record what is going from the main output directly?
Not now. Not in this version.
Okay.
But basically, it would be possible.
Okay.
But again, it's kind of complicated with the user interface, you know.
Right. So, and that's it then. Okay.
There's a lot more, you know.
Yeah.
There's this FM synth there. I didn't talk about the membrane.
Yeah. Let's do the membrane.
Okay, let's do the membrane because it's an underestimated instrument. Because it's so complex and it has a very far range. You know, many people don't understand how to use it. I understand because it's complex. You know, because you have two metal noise generators. I just rely on the metal noise now. Start with a very basic sound. The dampen is actually the filter resonance. It's two filters actually that are close to resonance, and I call it dampen because it's supposed to be like a membrane. You know, you have a short decaying membrane or a long decaying membrane, and the parameter dampen controls how long this will last. So hard. Yeah. No. Yeah. That would be much easier.
Okay.
So, I just start with number one. The more dampen I put in there, I have a final envelope. Put these on 0. Okay. So, basically I have a very far range on this instrument. Goes over the entire audio range. So I can do kick drums as well. And I have a gate that puts the energy into the system, you know. And the shorter this gate is, the more precise and the shorter the envelope gets. Everything is influencing each other. So in order to have a short clicking kick drum, I have to get very low and produce the click with the other sound generator. You hear? This is like a kick drum now. They can sound very, very great. I did some demos. Depends on the volume, of course.
And then it's like a snare with that.
Then it's like a snare. Now I apply some noise. I also apply some cross coupling. Coupling 1 goes from 0 to 127. That's one direction, and the other direction has two signs. It can be positive or negative. So if I, for instance, go negative and go back positive, you have these funny interactions that can go up to screaming. But if I go negatively below 64, you have like a coupling of two membranes, forming it to a snare drum like tone.
Yeah, so it's like a physical reaction. You need to think about that as a physical things.
You know, now it sounds like a bit like a snare drum. Then you can also have some envelopes on them. I know it's hard because there's so many parameters. You have to understand how that works in order to get pretty results, you know. You have to learn it.
It's like every instrument, you need to learn it at some point.
Then I can also apply some make the noise a bit sharper. adjust the damping. So I get this. Go and add some and change the noise into metal noise. It comes here. There's a second metal noise generator on the other page. And you have a multitude of noise shapings that are the binary patterns. You have to try out.
This is really the more deep, the track that is more deep to experiment.
Let's control that.
Good.
Nothing but the membrane now. It's just one instrument. You know, with the internal sequencer.
Nice. I think now. So this was a very deep one. Maybe we can look at the FM part.
Okay.
Because it's always interesting to us. Some FM stuff.
FM
and you
stuff.
know our luck.
Yeah, unfortunately, there is no keyboard hooked up. But let's do it that way. Because if I hook up a keyboard, I can play the FM synth with all voices that are available.
Oh, because how much?
You can choose the number of voices.
Oh,
now
yeah.
it's on 6, but we can choose it. I have to go to the pen page. It's hidden there.
Oh yeah. So if you add.
Okay. This is the number of FM voices. You know, I can go to 0. That's 1 actually. No, it's only 1 voice. This is 6 voices. You know. Let's keep it like 5 voices or 3 voices. Oh. But I can't change the voice now because I have no MIDI keyboard. I need the MIDI keyboard to play the single voices. Over the internal sequencer, I can only change the whole chord, you know, pitch the whole chord, because it remembers the chord that has been played externally and then stores it within the preset. But the internal sequencer can only play 1 chord, you know, and shift the chord with this pitch function here.
Okay, but again, you can expand these capabilities by MIDI.
Yeah. Okay, now it shifts the whole code. Then I go to the edit page. I have 4 operators.
And now the fun begins.
Yeah, now the fun begins.
Yeah.
I just reset the matrix to 0. I just control the operators. It's the basic frequency. Actually, they are sine waves, Can go off with the sequence mode, so we have 1 chord. And then I start applying some modulations. Every operator has an own envelope. This is the amount. So this is operator 1. A simple envelope analog attack release, This is the second, the third, and the fourth. For instance, only the fourth, with a longer attack, and then I have this ghost whining sound, And this, it works like a matrix, This is operator 1 frequency, FM modulates operator 2. So if I turn this one, I control operator 1 to operator 2. If I turn this one, I control operator 1 to operator 4.
We can spend nights on
nights.
Yeah.
Just put one into the jail just with the FM synth.
And I mean, it could be fun to use it as a synthesizer.
Yeah, sure, you can, yeah. But we need a MIDI keyboard for this, because it's not usable inside. It's very hard to make this practically programmable with the internal user interface. Actually this was just meant to be a gadget, because I had so much DSP power, and I worked on this 3 years ago, and I thought, that would be a nice gimmick on the new Alpha bass, to have this, because I tried some things with the FM sound production. Actually, it's very simple, and it makes so great effects. It's really amazing, this little gimmick thing,
Can you have a very big decay to have like a drone? Can you make some drones with the FM stuff?
Yeah, it's limited because it's a drum synth. It's not a sorry. The longest I can do is this. The crazy stuff begins if you do the reverse feedbackings, Oh yeah. It's very weird stuff,
Yeah, this is not your classic 909 stuff, yeah.
Not really.
Yeah.
Drum synthesizer. But you see it's possible.
It's great.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so we have seen the analog part, we have seen the FM part. Now, about the samples, what are the limitations? What kind of what size of sample?
The limitation is each sample has only 1 second or 1.3 seconds. Okay. It's 128 kilobytes of memory. It makes it 64 kilowords. and the sampling rate is 48 kilohertz, the internal sampling rate. And for a drum machine, this is more 1 second. It's at 120 BPMs. This is almost a whole bar.
Yeah.
You know, and so this is way enough. Yeah, there are not that much limitations because actually even on the digital domain you have so many controls. Okay. I just turn up the envelope, select a sample. Get a bit louder. This is a Sunset sample, for instance. A very old one.
We will talk about that later.
This is a Sunset. So this is an old Sunset sample. I have 64 LFOs.
64 LFOs?
64 LFOs. Unfortunately, I can't draw the line. You can even import your own LFO waveforms if you consider the right format. That's 256 samples for each LFO waveform. You just have to have a sample editor which can handle single samples, which every wave editor can today. And you can create your own wave samples if you want. You can insert them via SD card. But 64, there's everything you need. There's
ramp,
ramp, there's sine wave, there's triangle, there's every sort of rectangle, pulse width, and even more, and rectified sine waves, and so you can show. If you go into the wave sets that are online on the Jomox website, you can load in the wave number 300. That contains the LFO set, and you can see in the wave editor what waveforms are there. So this is just the digital controllability. I can also have digital VCA control. For instance, this is a sine wave with
so again with the help of external stuff you can do
this
some...
is just digital control. This is VCA and this is a digital VCA control with LFO and the tune, and then I can apply some analog.
And you can build a cluster of 6 of them.
Yeah. You can loop them as well. Loop one.
So you can make them running forever.
Yeah. Like here. This is a loop now.
Okay, so we can think, we can try to have 6 tracks of samples that are looping together and playing with volume and stuff like that. It could be...
I just set one step, or maybe there. Sorry.
Okay, so take time to work on that. I will try to resume because there is so much things you can do with that. So first, you can use it as an analog drum machine, classic one. Well, not classic one, a very good sounding one. You have a big kick, you have a big percussion part, totally analog. Then we have those 6 tracks of samples you can work with.
Well, this is just the one sample track that I've just edited.
Yeah. I think maybe you you can also mute kick and snare just to have the sample part. Yeah. But as for sound designers, it's very interesting to have all this option to build sound, to build cluster of complex sounds and.
Semitones, you know. Maybe I should talk about the hi-hats because they have different filters. Basically, they are the same. They have there was something you said the start point was. Okay. This is the typical 909 hi-hat, you know, which I took there. With the analog envelopes, you know, can be pitched over a very far range as well. Like, kids, those who know the X-Bass 09, maybe remember that sounds like this, you know. Plus, I can apply a filter, but that's different to the others. It's just a high pass and a low pass and capable of resonance, but the resonance has no peak. It just makes it smaller, noisier. And I can also apply metal noise, like with the other channels, you know. So this is then it's a pure analog hi-hat, no sample. Now the sample is off, now I have a noise hi-hat, you know. It's just made from an envelope and metal noise, you know.
Again, it's easier with two ends.
It's easier with two ends?
It's easier with two ends because you have one mic. See what I say?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I think we have seen everything.
That was the one from now, but because they are so long, you know, it's weird stuff, you know. You couldn't use that for a series. Well, let's get rid of those long decaying things, you know. And not forget the okay.
I think we have seen.
There's a reverb
Inside.
and delay inside as well.
Okay.
Okay.
You can put that on every track,
Yeah.
or every track.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
reverb and delay for every
Reverb
track.
and
Yes, this is huge.
For every no, it's a send return thing. Let's use another, maybe a simple, not that complex. There. Okay. Yeah, you hear the reverb.
Old school.
Okay. Okay. What's that? Right. I have even changed a bit. We have an almost infinite room size. And you have
Oh,
a
nice.
special filter. It's unlike the regular. I modified the reverb algorithms a bit to have a creative filter, so that the reverb itself can be almost endless and is really strangely shaped, Then you have a delay as well. And it can be synced now to the beat. That was right delay.
Okay. Yeah, again, it's very deep because
You have even a special that goes stereo. And I could apply that to every other instrument as well.
will all of those options. I hope in the future we will see new artists coming with a new approach to this, because you gave them the tools to find new sound, or at least to have much more than a drum machine. But this is a real synthesizer.
I hope so.
And
so by far, the reaction of many people was very, very positive about the alpha bass.
Yeah. But I think you need time to understand what you can do with that.
Of course.
And then you need time to experiment. But it's very deep, and it's really the first drum machine, hardware drum machine. You can see that it go further than that. So thank you very much to have built that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Ok. Est-ce que vous avez des questions par rapport à ça, par rapport à ce qu'on vient de voir, avant qu'on passe à autre chose? Non? Ok. Ok, all good.
Okay.
Ah, ok, une question?
There is no algorithm because you have every possibility. That's the point of the matrix. Understand? Okay. The algorithms in the classic FM synth, they only provide, operator 1 controls operator 2 and 3 and 4. You can do that if you just turn one knob in the matrix, or one parameter that is 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, for instance. Then you would have to change these parameters. But you have the feedbacks as well. It's because it's a matrix. Maybe you know the Native Instruments FM synth, they did it as a matrix as well. You don't need algorithms anymore if you have a matrix and you have every possible feedback or forward or feedback control way, or modulation way.
Donc la question, pour ceux qui n'ont pas entendu la question, c'était quel type d'algorithme il y a pour la synthèse FM. En fait, il n'y a pas d'algorithme parce qu'il y a une matrice qui permet de faire ses propres algorithmes.
Oui.
Donc du point de vue du sound designer, c'est encore une fois, c'est vraiment deep, on a toutes les options en main. On n'est pas forcé, we are not forced to do something, but we can do what we want really. So I think this is the best way. As soon as you have some level in production, you start seeking for powerful instruments that leave you do what you really want, and this is it. So yeah, it's great.
Okay. Yeah. I just switched to the FMs, and it's a matrix. You know, you have these 4 operators. These knobs control. That's the diagonale that control the frequency of the operators, and these are the modulation of the matrix. You know, it's formed like a matrix. This is the frequency. This is the basic frequency of the operators, and this is the modulation. This is 1, 2, 2, and 1, 2, 3 is this controller. So if I want to have a single algorithm like the classic algorithm, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I would have to set up these one, and these one. That makes it a chain, you know. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was big subject. So, but
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, this is your last product. You came with an updated OS, right?
It's very new.
If you already have an alpha base, what you can expect with this update? What did you bring?
Well, the most recent implemented LFO sync to the Beat BPM that includes external MIDI clock BPM as well.
Okay.
So now all these sample-based instruments have clockable or MIDI syncable LFOs and the delay as well. That's the most recent update.
Okay, it's already available online?
It's already available. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I think we can... I keep a big subject for the last one. But as you can see here, we also have... You made some Eurorack modules.
Yeah.
And 5 years ago when you came at Modularsquare, you was showing them for the first time. So, yeah. So it was one of them. It's a kick. What is the difference between... this kick and the kick you have on the alpha
There is
bass?
not much difference. It's almost the same kick.
Okay.
It has even a better supply range because, you know, the Eurorack world makes plus minus 12 volt. You can't change that, but I use always plus minus 15 volt, which gives you more headroom, more punchiness, and premium audio quality.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm totally new to electric stuff, but when you go higher in voltage, you are
Pro audio stuff always has a higher voltage, you know, because you have, you know, this more linearity in the medium range, and you have a lot of headroom. You have a better signal to noise ratio.
Okay.
And whatever you see. If you get very expensive, you know, these fancy preamps that cost 5,000 euros, they have internally like sometimes 50 or 100 volts, you know, just the preamp supply. You know?
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So if you want to see more in detail this module, you can go on our web YouTube page, because I've made a video a long time ago, 5 years ago actually, to show it how it works. So please go to our YouTube channel, go see this. And the fact is, you don't see that because it's behind the module, but there is already a MIDI. So you can, your ID, if I remember well, your ID was to provide for drummers. They can add a little set of module like this, and they can trig with the set. So it was a good idea.
Yeah, but to be honest, it didn't work so well. So in the future modules, I will get rid of the trig input, because it's just used for piezos, you know. So you could apply real drum pads, you know, for that. You can play with a drum, like you know, and go directly into that. And you have the dynamics, but. I think not many people used it. So.
Okay, so if you want one, it's now, because later it will not. You will not be able to have that. Okay, so don't forget that you also have some presets into this module. So into the mod base. So this is cool in a Eurorack situation when you need to.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Because the possibilities are so huge. Preset was welcome at that stage. So you can spend one night to make the perfect kick and store it and have it as soon as you need it. So
did you notice that with the most recent update there is even a program change?
Okay.
You can change the program number.
Okay.
You can play back different presets via CV.
Okay.
It's out since a couple of years.
I didn't see that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So you can make complex sequences by changing.
Yeah, you can change this. You can change the preset on the fly.
Nice.
Okay.
And if you
that's the PRN. That's the PRN parameter program.
Okay.
Yeah. If you have I can show you if you have a sequence.
Yeah. Let me do that.
There you can see the amount defines the range in which the CV changes the presets. You hear it already. There's always some clicking, it comes from the microphone. Yeah. Okay.
Always technical problems.
You see? And it's why you are in this menu, it shows you the currently played preset.
Yeah, it's cool. Because you have 4 CV to change sound, so you
also use the second for the pitch, Okay. Hello.
Can you go to the patch 32? It's my favorite actually. There is a
32.
If I remember well, patch 30. The preset.
If you have a second CV, I can change. No. Okay, let's do that. What did you say?
32.
That's your favorite?
With this pitch that is coming go and I like this was quite cool. On a big system when you play that sound.
Okay. I don't like the metal noise anymore. I can't hear it anymore because I had too much of that. This is a pretty nice attack. Also here you can change the gate time a lot, Those large gate times don't sound so well. You have to have precise clicks, have short. Well, it's just an LFO, that's it.
We can have fun with that. Yeah. Like that. Like the always. Okay, so this is a mod base. If you want to trade, you can come there. And then let's speak about T-Rackonizer, which is on the right.
Yeah, okay.
So again, what it is?
Yeah, it's actually the rack modular version of the famous T-Resonator, which is out since, I think, 10 years, since 2008 or so, which was formerly based on the resonator neuronium idea. It's just the least possible matrix of 2 filters, combinable with each other, and added with effects. That was the T-Resonator. It's still available.
Still
one of our best selling products.
Yeah. And you need to be careful because you can kill some speakers with that.
I know.
And It
Is
could
it
happen.
on?
So
Is it- is
yeah, so I need to. I will trigger a sample into that.
But I think okay, let's do some sequencing. Well, it's not in sync, but it comes from here. That's the reverb. I can also use the delay. I can
So you have two
even
filters.
use it without delay at all. You have two filters.
One delay and one reverb.
No, it's one effect. And you can apply it to the signal path via delay in. And delay in has two phases, negatively or positively. That makes the return way differently. Same applies for feedback. Feedback positively is the classical resonance. Actually, it's the negative phase, which is a Moog filter. But if you apply positive feedback, you get the screaming bass enhancement up to screaming sounds. And furthermore, if you
Sorry.
this is the stuff.
If you listen to us with headphone, I'm sorry for your ears. It could scream.
It can scream,
Yeah.
but it can also sound very nice. Like get rid of these, cross modulations. You have just a very nice sounding reverb. Basically, it's the same reverb algorithm that's inside the alpha bass, almost the same. Here is some improvements, with the filters, but basically it's the same algorithm, which is great, which goes back to Steve Barnes, who is dead, unfortunately, a couple of years ago. He was the founder of Analysis and a great ESP programmer.
Yeah.
And he's providing the spin chip, which is used in the T-Recognizer and T-Resonator, which is a great sounding single chip contained reverb and delay chip.
Okay.
But I ported this algorithm to the alpha bass, which uses some totally different chip. Okay.
Okay.
On the T-Recognizer, I programmed some new algorithms. This is this weird stuff here.
It's like ring mode.
Yeah, it's like a sine oscillator with ring modulation, and the audio controls the modulation. This is a complete crazy stuff. And third is also very weird. Makes your pets go crazy and your ears as well.
Oh, nice.
But that's only in the T-Recognizer. That's not in the T-Resonator. That's
Okay.
new algorithms. The 1, 2, 3. The rest is identical.
Okay.
Except for the fact that you can control these things via CV,
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
So, and now let's talk about the last subject. But,
Still?
Yeah, still. Get me one second.
I need a drink.
Yeah, please do.
Oh.
Yes, I know. And all friends.
Oh, no.
So,
One of my worst sin in the world.
well,
The sin son.
Simpson, yeah. So if you don't know this, it's one of the mythical synth you can have today. It's one of your first, not the first product. Or which one was that?
Huh?
It's not the first product you made, but
it's the third.
the third.
But I started it in 1997, and it was released in 2000 and sold in 2001.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is it was eight voice analog, yeah, 8 voice analog beast. You released it in 1986.
I released it in 1999 on the 22nd of November, 11/22/99. That was the release date. And we did it at the Seabase in Berlin, which was a sci-fi club at the time at Hackescher Markt, which the club is long ago, it's long gone, but they still exist, but at a different location, you know.
Okay. So
it was internet streamed at the time, you know, which was
really?
very, yeah.
Whoa.
We did a camera and audio streaming, you know, on the internet.
Very soon.
There's a huge hacker community at the Seabase, and they did it all make happen, you know.
Okay. So why I bring that into the discussion? Because today you begin to see some analog synths coming back and 8-voice analog, and actually you were the first to develop that, but
no, not the first, but
not the first, but it was one of the very acclaimed, by some part. But let's explain what was the problem with that. Why it was so difficult to develop actually?
The problem is the complexity, and at that time, when I designed it, there was no other VCA available rather than those very old from the 1970s, which are really, they sound good, but they are terrible, you know, regarding offsets, regarding stability and the stuff. But I wanted to have the original sound, you know, and the other stuff wasn't available, which are these products made of. I don't know if you know these numbers. The LM1700 wasn't available at the time. At the end of at the mid-end 90s, they reissued it later on. Now you can get it. You can get all those chips. You know. To make a long story short, yeah, it was. I released it too early. The OS was not yet finished, and I had some hard time to make it stable, you know. But many people still rely on the very first versions, which were buggy, and there were some problems. But you know, okay. But I resolved them, and in the end, but it's such a terribly complex machine because. You know, everything is built up discretely. It's not like the Dave Smith or the other stuff. You know, where you have these CEM chips in there, which contains one voice in one chip. It's all discretely built up. You know, with SMD technology, 2 sides and a lot of possible defects. You know, every building was in fact a repair. Because you never got one machine completely without any faults, without any missing parts, without any tolerance problems, without it's really complex, you know. And even the making of them was a nightmare. Ask my old colleagues, you know, we were almost going mad, you know, because you know, and the fact was it was very expensive by hardware. And I sold it too cheap. And the price, the first price was 3,300 euros. Was simply too cheap. By today, I haven't.
Yes, because we need to explain that you build everything yourself. So how many times did you need to build one at that time?
To build one from scratch, from the material, from the voice cards, and the mainboards. Of course, I didn't supply them myself. I didn't solder them myself. I go to a supplier for that. But the making of one Sanson, I think, at least 3 days, 3 or 4, 3 days to a week. To get everything nicely done, and there's still this one, I have to change again, blah, 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 blah. To get all the changes done, all the modifications done. In the first run, I had to make many modifications, that came up later in the serial run, and it was, I'm glad that it's done.
Yeah, but you can see that on internet. You will see people love when they have one, they love it, and I still think that the potential was huge, and
still it's huge. But there's so many great new synths out there. There's the Balloron, the River, then there's the Moog 1, of course, and the Schmidt synth, which are 3 amazing machines. I've seen them recently in Turin, and it's huge. But I have to admit, the Sanson has much more capabilities because of the digital waveforms. You have these RCOs, and they are really unique, and you can't do that with either one of those 3, as I just called. It's I think this is the major point on the Sanson, that it's not, and it's the analog envelopes, of course, but they have a lot of trouble. Today I would do it totally differently, with better chips, with better technology, and with much more experience. But I mean, there's so many synths out there.
Okay, stop.
No. And it took me 4 years to build this. The basic. No.
Not
I've
anymore.
done this, and that's fine. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we are done. So what now? What is? So you release that. You are happy with it, and what you want to do next? Do you want to expand more? What do you want to? What is your idea? Well. First question.
There will be not a big shot in the near future. I will do some Mark II developments, probably make a little split out maybe, because there's a lot of technology, a lot of experience, maybe to the modular world. I don't want to say what and exactly and how it will be, because nothing is finished yet. It's just ideas.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Je crois qu'on peut l'applaudir pour
Merci,
être venu.
merci beaucoup.
So, do you have some question about all what we have seen today about one instrument? No? Okay, so I think it's time to cut the recording, live recording. So, merci à tous ceux qui nous ont suivis sur Internet en direct ou en replay sur notre chaîne YouTube. On vous dit à bientôt pour une prochaine rencontre. En janvier, on recevra l'équipe de Jouer. On n'avait pas pu le faire les semaines précédentes à cause des mouvements sociaux. On va reprendre aussi bientôt nos apéros le jeudi soir. Il y aura des concerts. Donc pareil, a priori, on va reprendre ça en janvier également. Et ben maintenant, on va s'amuser à brancher des instruments un petit peu partout. On va continuer à s'amuser. Donc nous, on est encore là jusqu'à 18h. Donc si vous êtes à Paris, venez avec nous. Et puis sinon, merci de nous avoir suivis. Et je vous dis à bientôt. Thank you again for having me in there. And see you next time. Maybe in 5 years.
No, maybe I hope earlier. I hope much earlier.
Salut à toutes et à tous. C'est bon, tu peux cut là.
Thank you for
Yeah.
so many.
Tac.